start bright inland, those showers around the western and the northern and the eastern coasts. They'll build up inland, but unlike today, the majority of the heavier showers and the more frequent showers, well, they're likely to be in eastern districts, still perhaps with that rather wintry mix. Across in the west here, we'll see fewer showers later in the day, but still rather cloudy skies. Fewer showers than today for western England, Wales, southwest Scotland and Northern Ireland, but prolonged areas of rain moving in across the north of Scotland. And still a rather chilly feel to things. A frosty night Saturday night, giving way to showery weather over the north of the country. Some of these showers a little bit prolonged and moving southwards in towards northern England and North Wales in the afternoon as they break up. Heavy showers in the north, but many southern areas pretty bright and dry. Bye-bye.
Saturday night is Eurovision night on BBC One. At 5:45,
To be frank, I am looking for homes.
at 6:15, Big Trouble in Chinatown.
He can beat Superman.
At 7:05, more Confessions. At 7:45, the National Lottery.
The Eurovision Song Contest.
Is Europe ready for the UK's funkiest ever entry? Saturday night is Eurovision night on BBC One. Samedi soir, c'est la soirée Eurovision sur BBC 1.
Eddie Murphy produced, directed, wrote and co-starred in a comedy spoof of a 1930s gangster movie, Harlem Nights, here on BBC One in 50 minutes. First, the emergency services come to the rescue again as Michael Burke presents 999.
All of tonight's rescues are true stories. We've sometimes used actors or stuntmen, but everything you see and hear is based on the accounts of the people involved. They've helped us to reconstruct events as they happened. Tonight on 999, a terrifying fall in the snowfields of the Lake District. The rescue helicopters flying blind. Safety advice on the vital role you can play in a helicopter rescue. And lost at sea, two surfers struggle to survive as rescuers race to find them. Negotiating a horizontal sheet of ice is tricky enough, but climbers and adventurous hill walkers faced with a sloping wall of ice would need one of these to stop themselves slipping. It's an ice axe, and this particular one belongs to Gary Hogan from Merseyside, who had to use it when things started to go wrong during a Christmas break with friends in the Lake District. The Patterdale Mountain Rescue Team took part in our reconstruction of what happened, and many of them were involved in the original rescue. They had to use their own ice axes as essential tools in the fight to save Gary, who's played here by an actor.
We've got to come up to Thornthwaite Crag. Now, there's quite a steep climb there.
It had become a tradition. For the fifth year running, the group of friends, all experienced walkers, were planning their route.
Right, so if we get to Mardale Bell here... Yeah.
Gary Hogan and Bernard Gorman had grown up on the same street. Together with their close friend Len Andrews, they started fell walking as venture scouts.
And back for the pint.
Back for the pint, or two. There's just no way that anybody could survive that fall.
He must have slipped down into one of the most remotest valleys in the lakes.
Probably some of the worst conditions we've had the helicopter come in. I don't think any of us on that crew ever sort of pushed the boat out quite as far as that, and probably don't want to again, really.
Good timing, really.
Yeah, and then back to the hostel and then back to the pub.
About seeing.
Gary's a happy-go-lucky chap. He's a very gutsy person. I think he's probably one of the most bravest persons I've ever met.
It's not a particularly long day.
It's like being back at the Scouts, eh? 8 Mile like.
He always likes to be the centre of attention, and he's a bit of a performer. But he's a very good friend.
Up to the cairn and then north, and if it's covered in snow up there, it could be really nice.
Okay, lads, let's go.
Come on, Bernie.
Len and Gary sort of played off each other, almost like a comedy team, really. I was the sort of the straight man, and these two would play off each other. And if you were with them, there was always a kind of a banter going on between the two of them.
Come on. OK. Go on, Bernie, off you go, mate.
They were well equipped for their walk along the ridge known as High Street.
I'm going to stop and take a photograph. Hey, look at them lot, Lenny. Let's have a go at that.
Gary spotted other walkers sliding down a snowfield with their ice axes.
Let's have a go, come on. Yeah, come on!
One or two of them started to slide in the snow and using their axes to brake, practicing ice axe braking. Instinctively, I felt from the vantage position I had above them that it wasn't a safe place to choose because the snowfield ended and we couldn't see what was beyond the line of snow. And without knowing what was there, I felt uneasy about them doing what they were doing.
When you're walking in deep snow, if you do slip and slide, the ice axe can be used as an anchor, almost as a brake.
Some of the others also made the most of the opportunity to practice with their ice axes, including Dave Rickwood.
I think everybody was quite keen because I think everybody had new ice axes and I think it was a bit like a new toy and everybody wanted to have a go. It's really just a question of taking a lot of caution as you go down and staying in control.
Gary was travelling faster than everybody else, so he was sliding. He was almost like a slippery seal sliding down the hill, and he was really enjoying it. He must have gone another 20 yards beyond everybody. I started to get worried. Things got out of control.
Gary!
We realised he was going over the lip of the ridge. We were just horrified, actually seeing Gary just topple over the edge and tumble down the rocks. He was free falling, and then he bounced off a few rocks. Eventually he hit some snow, which seemed to break his fall, and he just went into a roll all the way down.
I just flipped over the edge. And I just stood there stunned. I just couldn't believe what I'd seen.
Where Gary had departed the edge, his ice axe was sticking in the snow. And I thought at the time, thinking, my God, it's rather like an epitaph to his demise.
I just thought at that point that he's dead, and we're going to be going down to recover a dead body. So we were just, I was just overwhelmed with the horror of the whole incident.
Where is it?
Gary had fallen 700 feet.
I couldn't believe it. It was about 85 degrees. It was almost vertical. It was virtually a cliff face at my feet. We had to effect a rescue plan. So emotions, in a sense, went into a cupboard somewhere.
I can go down and put in a call for the mountain rescue.
It was decided that Steve Hankin and myself would go down and put in a call for the mountain rescue. Dave Rickwood, because he had climbing experience, he was going to actually climb down over the cliff face, down towards Gary.
When we were looking at the map, we noticed about a quarter of a mile away there was a mountain rescue post. So I took a party and we trudged off through the snow, taking the group of 4 to the mountain rescue point.
You lads haven't got any crampons on. I don't think you'll make it down there, but we can get round Riggindale Crag.
The brothers Neil and Anthony Collier offered to try a quicker route to reach Gary using their crampons.
Right, lads, we'll head off.
Part of the problem was that not having crampons, it was rather difficult for us to descend a very steep slope. But the 2 Collier twins, they were able to walk down.
The other guys didn't try it.
They had axes and crampons. I think they'd actually been climbing that day. They went off on a slightly easier angle than we did. We didn't really have any full climbing length ropes, but we did have some walking ropes. So we tied those ropes together and we set up an ice axe relay. We placed the ice axe in a kind of cross formation, so when we put weight on the rope, it braced itself against the horizontal one.
As Dave and another climber, Kevin Way, prepared to abseil down, the other party were in for a disappointment.
We eventually found a mountain rescue post, which was just barely visible sticking out of the snow.
Solid ice here.
As the light faded, Dave and Kevin made slow progress. One false move and they would fall too.
Going down, Kevin.
One step at a time, the Collier brothers were going as fast as they dared. Bernard had taken 40 minutes to reach a phone.
Yes, police, please. At the forefront of my mind was the knowledge that by the time we got in the call, I didn't know whether my mate was dead or alive. And it's somebody I've known for over 20 years. Can I call out Mountain Rescue, please?
Because it was between Christmas and New Year, of course, everybody was on holiday, so having just come home and have a glass of whiskey and put our feet up and relax for the rest of the night was really quite a prospect. An accident like this, where we know someone's injured, there's an immediate call for the team, and everyone makes their way to base. One of them's fallen down towards Riggindale. I think it's about 100 feet. Everyone crashes onto the fell with the vehicles as soon as there's enough men to man the first vehicle.
We feel this is going to go on a bit into the night.
The mountain rescue team could only drive so far. They'd end up carrying their kit.
Just solid.
Meanwhile, Len and his team were having no luck digging out extra rescue equipment in the buried hut.
It was very frustrating when we actually dug through the soft snow and met hard, compacted ice, and even our ice axes weren't getting through it.
I think we're going to have to head back to the ridge, join the rest of the party.
It was now an hour after Gary's fall. Finally, the Colliers reached him.
Mate, come in! Oh, William, mate. All right. Yeah.
He was alive, but they'd no idea how serious his injuries were.
Hey, don't move, that's it.
Moments later, Dave and Kevin also arrived.
Okay now, right, mate?
He looked quite a mess. His clothing was torn.
Just gonna have a look at your head, all right? So I don't got anything to do.
He'd obviously damaged his head quite badly. He was in quite a bit of pain.
It's okay, we're gonna stick a bandage on it to try and stop the bleeding.
Bernard's gone for the mountain rescue.
Bernie.
We didn't want to move him very much. We wanted to make as comfortable as we could.
Oh, God. Freezing now.
We had a stove with us, so we were able to knock up some brews, scooping up pans of snow and melting it to make drinks. It was difficult to know what more we could do,
Just
really, to keep him warm.
Right, mate.
Okay, that's enough for now.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
You gonna buy us one tomorrow?
Yeah, I'll buy you.
We talked to Gary. I think we were all very worried that he would sort of lapse off into unconsciousness. Certainly his eyes were beginning to go. He seemed to be going off in the distance somewhere. As dusk fell, the weather was definitely getting worse.
Bernard guided the mountain rescue team to the spot where Gary had fallen. They'd already had a tough walk up to High Street.
Oh, you think you can see some markings in the snow here?
Hello!
Help had arrived, but their wait was far from over.
Yeah. Go, lads!
Take the torch off and flash it so they can see.
Over here! There it is!
We'd expected him to be about 100 feet down. He was about 700 feet down the dale. We had this interesting discussion, which probably isn't repeatable on television, when we realised how far down Riggindale it was.
There's lights on the ridge that you came down, Gary.
You're going to be all right.
Yeah, should just be a few minutes now.
They opted to go straight down to save time, but first they needed a solid anchor.
So we decided to use a dead man, which is an aluminium plate, which we drive into the snow at an angle. When it's loaded, it digs deeper and more solidly into the snow. 4 ropes to a considerable weight on the belay plate, and especially when wet.
They had no way of testing whether it would hold their weight, but they had no choice. They had to get to Gary.
It was a bit softer here, but it's okay.
Dr. John Ellerton, a local GP, began to climb down the most direct route, which is also the steepest.
How long have we been here, eh?
A couple of hours.
Feels like years, mate.
It was tempting to rush, but the mountain rescue team knew that could lead to further accidents. High above, on the ridge, Ian put his own life on the line as he started to climb.
I descended with half of the stretcher, and I thought it would be preferable, rather than with freely abseil on the rope, to actually climb down beside it, and that would put less strain on the belay, and therefore it would have less risk of the thing coming out on me. The trusset is a loop of climbing rope which is about 5 millimetres diameter. They actually slide down a rope, providing that they are held. As soon as they are let go, they seize upon the rope and stop. So I climbed down beside the rope, moving the knot down as I descended. In darkness, on that kind of a route, you're concentrating on a very small area of ground in front of you. All your attention is on the face that you're going down. Something missed, either a foot or my hand or the ice axe or whatever. My first instinct, of course, was to grab onto whatever I still had hold of, which happened to be the prusik knot. And of course, the more one grabs onto it, the more it slides down the rope. So with a conscious effort, I let go of that and then bounced 2 or 3 times before the prusik knot finally seized and stopped me going any further down the road. I'd cleared most of the most difficult part of the journey fairly quickly.
8 from 1-5. I've just had a bit of slip on this. Anybody else coming down, if you could tell them to watch for ice over.
Although Ian had fallen 30 feet, he was anxious not to delay the rescue anymore.
Somebody here? Yeah. Somebody coming?
Yeah.
It had already taken the doctor half an hour to climb down to Gary.
How's the casualty?
Are they coming?
He'd been lying in freezing temperatures for almost 4 hours.
Yeah, one bloke, head injuries.
We think he might have lost consciousness.
Dr. Ellerton immediately realised that Gary's injuries were too grave to risk carrying him down the slope.
The situation that Gary was in was where he had very serious head injuries and he had other limbs broken. His condition was such that any lengthy or prolonged evacuation meant that it would have worsened and would have threatened the possibility of a successful evacuation at all.
We request a helicopter to the casualty site, over.
The crew was scrambled from RAF Bulmer, 100 miles away.
Rescues in the mountains are one of the most hazardous things that we do, particularly at night, because of weather factors, which is always your prime enemy, really, are exaggerated so much by the mountains.
The weather's getting a bit worse now. It's starting to snow quite heavily.
Okay, well, still got the lecture on my side.
Roger. 60. Height is good.
It was a dark night. There were strong winds. There was a lot of snow around. I was using night vision goggles to confirm that, in fact, we were where we thought we were.
Still a good visual down the back. Roger.
At this stage, we were flying at about 40 feet. The snow shower increased in intensity to such an extent, in fact, that I lost visual references with the ground.
Okay, lost visual, aborting on instruments.
The crew were now flying blind and were in real danger of crashing into the mountain.
200 feet.
It's a bit like driving a car into a fog bank and then having to control it in 3 dimensions.
There was probably silence between the 4 of us because we were all sitting, waiting and hoping that we weren't going to hit the side of a mountain.
600, still going up.
It got very tense, obviously. What I had to do was to pull in maximum power, and we then shot up like a bit like a cork out of the bottle. We flew out climbing to get clear of the mountainsides. I was very annoyed that we weren't going to get to the casualty, and very tense that we were in close proximity to Granite in cloud.
How long before I get out of here?
I could hear the helicopter on a number of occasions, the sound getting louder, him getting closer, and then fading away again.
What's the ETA for the helicopter? We haven't had a message back on that. We're still waiting on that, John.
There were times when I thought, well, maybe we're going to have to stretcher him out. Maybe the helicopter won't get to him.
Patrick Base Rescue 131, we've aborted due to bad weather and heading for Penrith, over.
Rescue helicopter 131. Casualty is serious. We would appreciate you trying again, over. Steady.
Gary's condition was very serious. To have a helicopter and to have almost immediate access to hospital treatment became absolutely critical. Considerable pressure and considerable pleading was placed upon the helicopter pilot to actually come back in and to make another try to see if we could get Gary out.
Above us here.
They quite succinctly let us know that the casualty was in a pretty bad way and it was basically life or death for him. I announced my intentions to go back and looked across at the co-pilot, who I don't think could believe it.
We'll make one further attempt to get into your situation.
Fate stepped in and there was a large break in the cloud, so we spiraled down in descent. We then had to climb up through the cloud layer because the casualty must have been about 1,000 feet above us at least. We could see the lights of the odd flare as well that they were letting off.
I think I can hear them down below us in the cloud area.
The weather had decidedly wasn't by then. The helicopter itself was caught in a fairly strong flurry, which swept the whole valley. There was a snow flurry came down. I don't know why, but climbers tend to fall on the downdrafting side of hills, which gives us a few problems in controlling the aircraft, and sometimes even having just enough power to be able to hover. The wind was actually tumbling down over the top and blowing straight down into the bowl. Quite remarkable, really. I think they're conditions where I wouldn't necessarily like to be out on the road on a push bike in some of them. It must be on the margins of what's possible.
Gary had fractured his skull and injured his knee. He was back at work within a fortnight, but still needed months of physiotherapy.
I thought it was just a bad tumble. I didn't even realise the seriousness of the fall itself. I didn't realise how far it'd fallen. I remember starting the descent with the ice axe, and then I remember all of a sudden I was going really fast, and so I started to put the ice axe in, and things just seemed to get out of control, and the ice axe was just cutting through like a knife through butter. It was only then when I looked down and realised that the mountain had come to an end. It was similar to the cartoon situation where when you just keep travelling without anything either above or below you. I remember vaguely reaching the bottom and then thinking to myself that obviously the boys up top, Len and Bern in particular, would be really worried because it was obviously a bad fall. While I was in hospital, one of the nurses had received a call from an old girlfriend of mine, Jill. When I got back from home, we met up again and we got married, and now we've got 3 young, healthy and active children. If I hadn't survived that, then there'd be a number of lives that wouldn't be here today, and that's not just mine, it's my children. Every day now to me is a bonus, and as a result of that fall, I've become, if anything, more positive about life, and I don't look back, I look ahead. And every day to me is just an extra day onto a life that I could have lost.
Gary Hogan's rescue was just one of 2,000 or so handled every year by the RAF's rescue coordination centres at Plymouth and in Scotland. When access is difficult, when time is critical, a helicopter can be scrambled from one of 12 UK bases staffed by the RAF, the Navy or the Coast Guard. Every time a crew gets a call, they know they may very well be the last hope for someone in trouble. And they know, too, that teamwork between themselves and the people on the ground is the key to a successful operation. But when a helicopter's involved, the noise can make communication very difficult. The RAF has this basic safety advice on rescue by helicopter.
Rescue helicopters can fly almost 500 miles without refueling. The radar and automatic flight control system enables them to operate in most weather, but don't expect the impossible. Some helicopters are equipped with FLIR, that's forward-looking infrared, which shows up anything warm like a human being. Mike Fairbairn's crew had night vision goggles. They work by amplifying available light and need moon or starlight to see anything at all. If you can hear a helicopter, you'll be close enough for the goggles to spot. They'd even be able to pick out a lighter flame. But don't shine a light directly at a helicopter when it's close. The goggles are very sensitive. In daylight, you can attract attention by using flares, smoke, or even bright clothing. If it's sunny, a piece of glass or tin can flash a message for miles. Make an SOS on the ground, and if you're stuck in snow, you can trample it down to make the letters. But remember to destroy your message before you leave. Other internationally recognized signals include making a letter I on the ground, which can also be made by lying with your arms above your head. It means someone needs immediate medical attention. Standing with your arms in a Y shape means pick us up, but remember a wave signals everything is okay. A helicopter will always try to land to rescue you. It creates a downdraft, so protect casualties and make sure there's nothing loose on the ground to blow about. And remember, the pilot can't see what's directly under him. He relies on the winchman to be his eyes. Wait until the crew tell you to move. The But remember, don't go near the back of the helicopter and the tail rotor. If the pilot can't land, he'll probably hover and drop a line. But helicopters develop a static charge as they fly and have to be earthed before a lift can begin. This is usually done by letting the winch wire touch the sea or ground. Don't grab the wire until you're told it's safe to do so. You could get a shock. The winchman will put a strop over your head and under your arms and tighten the sliding sleeve before the lift. Always keep your arms down so you don't fall through it. Though it may be tempting, don't reach out to the helicopter as you get closer. Helicopter rescue is teamwork. The pilot, his crew, and you.
There's an opportunity now to record a data burst, giving basic safety advice on rescue by helicopter and other programme information. Details are also included in the BBC 999 Lifesaver Guide 3. To get a copy, send a cheque for £2.50, made payable to BBC Education, to 999 Lifesaver Guide, PO Box 7, London W3 6XJ. That address, as well as other life-saving information on CFAX, page 621.
This year is the 40th anniversary of surf lifesaving in Britain, and the very first club was set up right here in Cornwall. In some countries, surf rescue teams are fully funded, so they can afford to employ full-time professional staff. Here, though, the service relies heavily on volunteers. Even so, it costs £15,000 just to meet the basic annual running expenses of the Perranporth Surf Patrol. So the club's 200 members all have to do their bit with one of these to gather it in. Obviously, raising money isn't half as much fun as racing into the sea, but when the local policeman, Pete Foxwell, cracks the whip, everyone gets involved. Pete's the club secretary, and last summer devoted as much energy to raising money as he did to his other role as trainer of the Rescue 94 squad.
You've got to be a diplomat, which is not always my strongest point, but I usually end up getting what the club wants. Well, I joined in 1983. Having lived down here up till that point for about 20 years, I knew the club and I knew a lot of people in it, but I'd never really become involved or taken much interest. And then one day I just went down to the club and saw what went on and took it from there, really. This coast, yes, north coast of Cornwall is, can be quite a savage coast, and our beach in particular is probably the most dangerous beach in the county. And I wouldn't want to put off anybody coming down here for a holiday because it's probably the most dangerous, it is the best patrolled. If you know each other's abilities and qualifications, you know what each other are capable of doing. I mean, James and Danny are the classic case, where they rescued a chap, brought him back to life, and they worked exceptionally well.
I remember when you do your sort of your training, to get your bronze when you're younger, and you got that picture of somebody floating in the sea, like this, and I thought, bloody hell, here we go. And I just grabbed him by the hair, pulled him over, flipped him straight on the board. And I think by this time James had obviously realised that something was serious was up.
Yeah, we started at Sun Stadium, but realised it was full of water.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
So I flipped him back over on his...
That must have been what I swallowed.
Yeah. Flipped you over on your front.
We had a lot of water coming out.
Loads came gushing out, yeah. But it all happened, that was a busy couple of hours, that was.
Yeah.
I feel that my number wasn't up that day. I was saved for a purpose. I've since gone on to learn first aid, do first aid. I enjoy doing it. I enjoy teaching it. I think everybody ought to know the basics of first aid.
And I said, come on, James, we'll go up and have a cup of tea. And I got my lunch up there. And we got my sandwiches out, and I had tongue sandwiches. And we were that bloody hungry, we ate them. Tongue sandwiches after mouth to mouth, very nice.
Finance is a problem. We get £200 from the local council, and I always wished that it could be more, and we get £1,000 from the district council. And from there on in, every penny that we obtain is done through fundraising activities.
To my right, or your right, my left, on the green is a fundraising exercise, which is the FET for Perranporth Surf Lifesaving Club.
Right, skinheads a pound. Do you know what you're doing?
Don't take too much off because he's bald enough as it is. Look, you can see the bald patch in his nose.
Come on, come on! 7, 6.
8 cage left. Come on by your cage. Let's have a little go.
Hot dog.
Come there. Let's keep these. 11. There we are. How many sat then? 12.
We took 858. Profit's about 600 quid, which wasn't bad, about 150 quid an hour. The training goes on all year round, but we can only do so much on the limited money that we've got. We train in the winter in swimming pools. We like to train on resus and the bronze techniques. If we can get extra money in, we will get more people interested in surf life saving.
To move there. Oh. I think they go well with the shorts, don't they?
Simon and I are representing the club at the big opening ceremony at Rescue 94, so we've got to look our best.
I can see myself as an executive.
Expect them to do well.
I'm expecting us to finish the top UK club, certainly.
Good.
I shall be disappointed if we don't, because we're the current men's national champions.
We won't be having that one.
What size are they, Simon?
34.
Oh, you're joining the old boys, you're joining the old boys.
It's that middle-aged spread.
I promise I won't tell Jason. Well, Simon and Jason are my two men in the relay team, along with Mike and Richard. And Jason's an exceptionally good starter. Simon would be running probably number 2. And he's a very, very tough competitor, and he never knows when he's beaten.
Drive! Come on, Simon, drive! Come on, push the arms, pump! Well, all I can say about that, lads, is there was only one bloke there that was running decently, and he's running for the opposition. And Simon, you were out for a picnic.
No, I'm not a runner, am I?
Set! False start, Jason. Think about it.
The Surf Club has now been given £30,000 of lottery money by the Sports Council to help build a new training and education centre in Perranporth. But they'll still need to raise money every year to keep the club going. Next week on Surf Patrol, do our lifeguards get the attention they deserve? We meet Peter Gaisford, who's determined to raise their profile in the UK.
When firefighters go into a burning building, they normally wear breathing apparatus to protect them against toxic fumes and smoke produced when things like sofas start to burn. Smoke kills, and our instinct is naturally to get away from it as quickly as possible. But what happens if our escape route is blocked? When Liz Fisher smelled something burning, she opened the front door of her flat and was faced with a wall of dense, choking smoke. In our reconstruction, Liz is played by an actress, but you'll hear a recording of the actual 999 call that Liz made to Jane Fisher of the Greater Manchester County Fire Service.
When the fire line rings, you don't know what's going to be on the other end, what sort of incident it's going to be, but they need help, they need it now.
What's the address of the fire? Aston Old Road, higher open shore. It's a load of flats and the one downstairs on fire. Right, back at the top.
You can't allow your caller to panic. If it sounds like they're starting to panic, you've got to get it back there and then. Otherwise you lose control of the situation.
You can stay on the phone if you want. Please hurry up.
Normally we don't keep callers talking. The idea is that you get out, you stay out and you call us out. She couldn't do that, so we had to do something different to keep her safe where she was.
There's all black smoke coming out. Right, I think you put a cross something near the door.
Smoke actually kills more people than fire. So the idea is you block off all the smoke from coming in, and that gives you precious minutes.
If you can keep down towards the floor, because the smoke will rise up to the top. All right, we are on the way to you.
It's easy for me to say I'm not in the smoke-filled room, but I did know that she would be all right.
If you could open the window, try and breathe through there. Is that better? I'm just opening them now. Just you concentrate on getting your breath in. Did you manage to put something at the bottom of the door? Left the door open. You've left the door open? Yeah.
But it's very important that you shut the door, because if you leave the door and the windows open, the smoke will funnel straight through like a chimney.
Have you managed to shut the door now? Yeah. Have you got something, a cardi or a coat or something at the bottom to stop the smoke coming in? No. Hold on. You go and do that. Anything, a towel, anything. Is that better now? Yeah. Stop coming in a bit. Yeah. You're back to the window, sitting on the floor. Yeah, I can hear them coming.
And then all of a sudden I heard the dee-daw in the background. I thought, thank God for that, you know, that they got there.
You put this phone down to me then and go to the window and then they'll see you. Right. All right then. Thanks. Bye. Bye.
When the call finished, I sat back and I sort of went, oh. She actually rang up afterwards to say thank you. And I hadn't a clue what to say to her then at all. I mean, I have never had anybody say thank you for a fire call.
I thought my number was up, actually. I really did. I thought, oh, why me, you know. But, really frightening. I was choking, coughing, and I was trying to see and I couldn't see in front of me. If it was to happen again, I'd know what to do the next time with the advice that Jane gave me, and I wouldn't be as frightened.
Firemen rescued 5 people from the building in that incident, and no one was injured. The fire started in a chip pan. Do you know that fat fires account for an astonishing 40% of all accidental fires in the home? If your chip pan catches fire, don't ever be tempted to pour water on it, because this is what happens. If in doubt, remember the slogan, get out, get the fire brigade out, and stay out. And there's a chance to learn how to give effective first aid to somebody who's suffering from a burn or a scald at the BBC 999 Lifesaver Roadshow events being held throughout the United Kingdom. 999 is working with volunteer trainers from the NHS Ambulance Service, the St John Ambulance, the Royal Lifesaving Society, British Red Cross and the British Heart Foundation. The roadshow is being held at the Winter Gardens in Weston-super-Mare on the weekend of the 17th and 18th of June. And you can reserve up to 6 places by ringing us now on 0891 33 99 22. The call will cost you no more than 50p. Surfing is a sport that conjures up thoughts of summer sunshine, but your true enthusiast is keen to catch that perfect wave even in winter when the weather can make it really challenging. Whatever the conditions, it's a sport that requires fitness, stamina and self-reliance. One New Year's Day, 2 surfing fanatics came to a beach here on Jersey. They were both really eager to try their new boards. They were both 18, both felt they were on familiar territory. Neither of them had any reason to suspect that their physical and mental endurance would be tested to the limit by an ordeal that lasted all night and involved every one of Jersey's rescue services. The previous night, everyone had been on the crest of a wave.
We're careless, but everyone when you're young, carelessness is a part of life, really. You learn by your mistakes.
I was born in Jersey, grown up in Jersey. I didn't think I could die here. You know, I've got to think I'm putting this earth to do.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Happy New Year!
Mark and Anthony are like brothers. We consider Anthony as a son, as far as we're concerned, you know. We're very proud of both the boys.
Mark Gogin and Anthony Tobin are played here by actors. It was an hour before sunset on New Year's Day.
We've been surfing through the winter, through the summer. We're experienced with the cold. We're not, as people say, summer boys who come out for the summer and stay in for the winter. When you're out there, you're just loving life. Your whole body's just really physically feeling good.
It was offshore winds. It was like perfect day kind of thing, a bit rough.
They were about 5 to 6 foot, quick, beautiful, really kind of wave.
definitely worth going in that day. After a while, we decided time to get in. We've had our fun now.
As we started paddling in, the tide started coming over the rocks. It started causing undertows.
Things started going desperately wrong. There was rocks that we couldn't see, which were only up below the surface. If the wave hit you, it'd thrust you either to the left or to the right onto the rocks, which was a bit dangerous.
As darkness fell, they had to accept it was impossible to get back to the shore.
There was a current that was pushing us more out from land than anywhere else.
Mark and Anthony tried to swim towards the lights of a holiday camp, but after 4 hours in the water in worsening weather, they started to panic.
Stupid idiots! Why are they looking for us? They know we're out here.
Anthony was pretty tired. He really didn't seem to have the strength that I had in me, which I don't know where I really got it from.
Grab hold of my ankles. Grab hold of my ankles. I'll slug you in.
So I started paddling, him holding on, but I couldn't do it for too long. I got too tired.
Anthony, come here. There's a doorway. I'm going to leave you here, Anthony. I'm going to go and try and make it into shore. I promise you, I will be back.
We both discussed that he can go and I'll catch up to him afterwards.
So I paddled off, and then eventually I turned round. There was no hope of seeing him. I could still hear his voice. Eventually, it just faded away. I started getting lonely again.
I was feeling panicky because if Mark hadn't got found, no one would know that he was there or I was there. So we're in the water to die, kind of thing.
In the first lucky coincidence, a police car pulled into the car park above the bay.
I saw a car coming down into the car park and just started screaming my lungs out.
That's it, Jerry. I'm going to call this one in. Right. Put the blues on, Jerry.
When I first saw the blue lights, I was overwhelmed. I was like, yes, things are happening. It was actually the first time I was probably ever happy to see blue lights.
Margaret and I were coming home about 9:30, and we heard the sirens of ambulance and police cars flying out. They passed us on the road. There must be an accident along here, Margaret.
That's the sea rescue team. I hope it's not for Mark.
That couldn't be Mark, surely, surfing at this time of night. And he said, no, it's probably a boat in trouble.
No, it's probably a yacht down around Corbière.
Got home, and I walked around the house, and I could see Mark hadn't been in at all. Dawn, I'm a bit worried about Mark, you know. He hasn't come in yet.
I wouldn't worry about it, Mum. He's probably gone on to Sands with all his mates.
I knew there was something wrong, but I didn't know what.
The Jersey Fire Service rescue team had no idea where the cries for help were coming from as they began their search for Mark.
Yeah, we've got voices down at the bottom there.
They had big spotlights, and they were looking up on the cliffs. I thought, no, what is going on here? I'm stuck out in the water, and they're looking up on the cliffs. I've got to admit, I was very critical at this point. I was really getting angry then. I was like, I can't believe this. Nothing's going right tonight. This is just going to be torture for me for the whole night. I thought, right, here we go. Scream as much as I can, do anything, wave my board, hope for the best.
There he is. Something got him.
Yes, they found me. This is it. Where's my boat? Where's my helicopter? Get me out of it.
Watch as the wave goes down. You can see his board come up. Well, we've got the lifeboat coming, Jim.
When we launched the lifeboat, the conditions were abysmal. I really thought it might be a hoax, because I didn't think anybody in their right mind would be out in it. It was quite amazing to think somebody was out on a surf.
Let's just come round the headland, look. Stay in the light!
The guidance from the shore was very helpful, but we couldn't see anything.
Here goes the flare.
One of the crew heard the surfer shouting, which is how we honed in on it.
When the boat stopped and I saw people, I was just, this is amazing. I'm rescued, I'm going to survive and everything. Literally dragged me into the boat because I was so weak I couldn't help or nothing. My whole body was just floppy.
Mark was safe, but he had trouble explaining that Anthony was still lost at sea.
He was fairly hypothermic.
Covered up, you'll be all right.
That was the time when we found out that he had a friend.
Have you say there's somebody else out there? Nigel, there's another one out here.
Having found Mark after something like 7 hours in the water and seeing his condition that he was in,
And there is another casualty missing.
knowing somebody was out there, his chances were nil as far as we were concerned. Had he not drowned or been washed off his board, then he possibly could have drowned from inhaling the spray.
Hello?
It's me, Mark. Something's happened.
What's happened?
There's been an accident.
What kind of an accident?
Lost Anthony.
What do you mean you've lost Anthony?
In the sea, I lost him in the sea.
Oh, my God. When he said, I've lost Anthony, and then the tragedy began to come forward, and then we were as much concerned as if it was our own son that was still out at sea.
We were suffering from mixed emotions, really. We had been through a lot that night. We'd been through many things. Like, it would have been sad to lose a good friend like that.
We took him home with us, and all he wanted to do was get out and do what he could for Anthony, but it was dark.
It was here we came in. And we swam further out to get some bigger waves, and the tide started coming in. It swept us right round. He'll still be there, I think. He might have come round a bit with the tide, but...
It's the police. They've called off the search. They said they're going to resume it at first light.
Somebody so near and dear to you is out there at sea, all alone. That's the time to speak to God. And I did say my little prayers there.
By the early morning, I was starting to have doubt about it and everything. I couldn't believe how did I leave him, why did I leave him, and things like that.
At first light, the Channel Islands rescue plane took over the search for Anthony. Mark's parents were scouring the sea from the cliff tops.
Something there, look.
No, that's just a boat, Margaret.
Everyone was concentrating on the area where Mark had been found, the northwest coast of Jersey.
Okay, we've got a target, 3 o'clock. Come right now. Yeah, okay, coming down now, your side. Oh, negative, it's just a fishing float. Okay, bring her out now.
At the same time, in the second extraordinary coincidence, a pilot boat was starting its day's work on completely the opposite side of the island. Anthony had drifted 10 miles during the night. He was now halfway along the south coast of Jersey. Anthony had been in the cold seawater for over 15 hours and was suffering from severe hypothermia. But somehow he'd managed to cling on to life.
That's the closest I've come to death. When the lights had started all going out, I realised that it's up to me to stay alive. When it was coming to day, my mind started playing little silly things, hallucinations. My boss from work was walking a dog.
Hello, Anthony, mate. What are you doing in there? See you later.
And then another friend was in a car and he drove past.
Hi, Anthony, mate. How's it going? See you later.
I remember sitting on the board, next minute I'd be in the water. A wave would just hit me in the face, so I'm lucky that the waves did wake me up. Otherwise I would have been dead.
It was a really big high. The whole weight had been taken off me. I was overwhelmed, I couldn't believe it. I was tears coming out everywhere.
At least the visibility is improving no more.
I have some information. There's a surfer's been picked up at St Albans Bay. He's alive, he's going to the hospital. I don't know, any more.
Found him. And I could never get over it. He said he's alive, and something I'll never forget as long as I live. That's the best news I've ever had in my life, please.
It was the greatest blessing on earth when he said, yes, he's been saved. You know, it was absolutely wonderful. I never felt anything so good in all my life. The great news of Anthony.
I think Anthony's life was saved by his spirit. He had a good wetsuit, obviously. He tracked around the coast and not off out to sea. And perhaps simply it just wasn't the time that he was due to die.
Next week, a terrifying accident and the 39-hour ordeal in a recompression chamber. The crash that should have killed him and the safety device that everyone agrees saved his life.